But when a force recognizes that you will not be subjected to its power, to its authority, to its tyranny, it can only get rid of you or leave you alone. And y'all are afraid to force these devils to make that decision. Y'all scared. This is the problem. I want them to get to that point where they have to make that decision. Let them make that decision, bro. Let the whole world see them attack us, man. Stop being scared. For those of us that survive, we will come out on the other end better. And for those of us that die, I hope the ones that survive honor our sacrifice and maintain and do right going forward. Make these devils have to make that decision to either leave us alone, like Moses said in your Bible when he went to Pharaoh and said, let my people go. Force these people to let us go, to leave us alone. Stop being scared. You are afraid because you recognize the system as your master, which is white supremacy. And now your whole life is now established around dealing with this stuff every damn day. That's not a life to live, bro. That is not a life to live. Everything I'm about to say, you already know it to be true. You are a slave. You are a slave to money, to social economics, to status, to politics, to ideology. You have sold your soul to have a place in a world order that you should naturally oppose. Whoa now. Welcome back to the Black Alpha. I'm your boy, Brother Kush. Now in this video, I want to talk about how fighting racism and white supremacy has become black culture. And what inspired is that this brother named Black Light Revelations, I guess that's his channel name. He was over there on Torian's page and it was doing a live stream talking about something that crazy ass Sneeko said. And Torian asked him to give his definition of black culture. And the definition he gave was essentially fighting against white supremacy. As if we don't have anything else that we do or anything else that we should be doing. And I found this disturbing, bruh, that this is where we are right now. And you young people don't understand why y'all need to listen to a brother like me, man, because this is not where we were when I was coming up. Look, whether you see me as an elder or not, I'm older than a lot of y'all, bro, but I'm telling you, I'm only old enough to be your daddy at the most. And I'm telling you, we were not like this when I was coming up. We were not like this when I was coming up. So we have to look at where we are and how we got here so that we can understand how do we move forward to get us out of this place here. Because that's where we're trapped at. We're trapped here. Every time I say we're trapped in a sunken place up here, you dudes get mad at me. Every time I point out who have us trapped in a sunken place, your pro-black leaders, your politicians, your religious leaders, these are all the people that got us stuck in the sunken place. You get mad at me. But as long as we make it our life mission to oppose white supremacy, which by the way is an ideology, and systemic white supremacy, you can't oppose that by talk. If it's systemic, now that's a different conversation. But if you're talking about people like Jason Aldean making some hick song about try this in a small town, that is an ideology. You cannot oppose an ideology. There is no way to fight against an ideology. So we need to understand where we are and fully understand which conversation are we having. Are we talking about systemic racism, or are we talking about just people not liking us? Because those are two different things. And if you're talking about systemic racism, how you go about dealing with that is different from how you go about dealing with cultural or social racism. Two different things. And I think it's time for us to have a real talk on this matter. But before we do, you know what I gotta say. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to receive notification when I drop more videos. If you don't hit the bell icon, you won't receive notification because I do not trigger that algorithm. YouTube does not want my videos out there, people. I have long-time subscribers that email me behind the scenes, say my videos do not come up through their feed at all. So I'm telling you, do the best to either hit the bell icon or just check with the channel every other day. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna drop something. Just check with the channel every other day to see what I drop that's new. So without further ado, let's get started. So anyway, the brother Blacklight Revelations over on Torian's page, his definition of black culture is disturbing. And the crazy thing is, it is exactly what Neely Fuller said it would be. He said that we have two states. Let me pull this up over here. Neely Fuller Jr. in his compensatory code book said that the system of white supremacy is so efficient and so complete that as long as white supremacy exists, all non-white people are at all times either acting because of its existence or reacting because of its existence. And that's what the brother Blacklight basically said black culture is fighting, is acting or reacting to white supremacy. My young brothers, that is not how you want to live your life. That is not how you want to live your life. And I'm gonna let you hear what he said, you know, so I'm gonna let you hear it yourself.
I would define black culture as everything that we've been to since the United States began fighting white supremacy. As far as black American culture, I think the one thing that unifies us here in the United States is the white supremacist oppression and the constant fight to disintegrate white supremacy. So I think a lot of the elements of things that we created as a derivative of doing that. A lot of things like hip hop that we created were ways of being defiant and breaking up and creating weakness and cracks in white supremacy. And I believe that that's a good way to define black American culture, FBA, Freeman, ADOS, because we deal with white supremacy directly, and the country where we live in is one of the countries that literally created its entire GDP and basically everything that defines it, that it can market to global culture as something that came from something that we created.
People, that young man could not be more wrong. He could not be more wrong. And he used hip hop as an example. And see, this is the problem I have with young people. You know, if you were not there, there's an old hip hop classic song, right? Made by Just Ice. You know what I'm saying? And he's talking about, you know, going way back. And he's talking about, you know, you had to be there. If you wasn't there, you don't know. And this is the problem I have with young people. You wasn't there. Hip hop, when it was first started, had nothing to do with fighting against oppression or fighting against anything. It was having fun. It was having fun. Yeah, you did have the dead poets. You did have these brothers that would do this poetry over beat, you know, talk about things going on and stuff like that. But actually, rap is old. There are clips online of artists in the 30s and in the 40s and in the 50s doing rap verses. We've always done this, man. It's not really a new thing. It's just that it became a genre of its own somewhere around the mid to late 70s. It became a genre on its own. But the original so-called hip-hop songs were all party songs. They were fun songs. Go back and pull up Crush Groove. Go back and pull up Beach Street. There's another one. I can't think of the name of the movie, you know what I'm saying? But go pull up these old movies, you know what I'm saying? Breaking and all that stuff. Go pull up these old movies and look at what rap was about in its very, very early stages. It was about having fun. It wasn't about a voice to fight against oppression. See, what happened was within the ghettos, there were these alpha males that were always on that kind of time. And they would always talk about the system. And because rap kind of officially started in New York, which was a hub for all these conscious type groups, the 5%ers, the Nation of Islam, the Hebrew Israelites, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you had all these groups over there. So you had a lot of brothers that would talk about these kinds of things over the beats. But you underneath that, you still always had party rap. I mean, that's what it was. It was party music. It was fun music. It was uplifting music. It wasn't about oppression and stuff. That is just not true. You know what I'm saying? What he said there is just not true. But he doubles down on that to make matters worse. You know what I'm saying? Let me go back to it again.
Yeah, I agree. Another way that you could define Black American culture is the consistent defeater of white supremacy. Anything that white supremacy throws at us, we create something that becomes a global culture that was originally created to deflect or divert or destroy white supremacy. Every single thing that comes out of what we do is a hit back to white supremacy. You know what I'm saying?
Again, Nearly Fuller said, the system of white supremacy is so efficient and so complete that as long as white supremacy exists, all non-white people are at all times either acting because of its existence or reacting because of its existence. And that's what you hear that brother sadly saying in that video clip over there on Torion's page. And this is no shot at the young brother. It's just sad that that's the reality of his life. But part of the problem with this is that y'all don't understand the concept of I self am Lord and Master. And part of the reason why you don't understand is because one of the most influential things that has swept over mainly Black American men over the last 20 years or so has been the 48 laws of power. And y'all love this thing, man. And the very first law of power was never outshine the master. And the crazy thing is that this book has been touted by all the Black Red Pill channels, by all the Black Manosphere channels, by a lot of the so-called Black conservative type channels, you know what I'm saying, as something that we should study. But the problem is, number one, it starts off wrong. We don't have a master, my brothers. We don't have a master, my sister. I self am Lord and Master. Al-Islam. I self am Lord and Master. I don't have to worry about trying to outshine anybody because I have no master to outshine. So what law number one basically teach you to do is to stay in your place. It teaches you to respect the hierarchy of this system, which is white supremacy. Respect your place within a hierarchy and just learn how to do unto those underneath you what those above you do to you. Treat those underneath you like crap, like those above you treat you like crap. That's all that law number one says. Never outshine your master. Now I know somebody will say, "Oh, you misunderstood it." If you read on it, I don't need to read on. The word master is the problem, because we have no master. God is our master. Allah is our master. By whatever name you call the creator, that is our master. We don't have a master. And this is the problem. Y'all recognize that this system, which is white supremacy, is your master. So this brother unfortunately lives in a world where he believes that our only function from day to day is fighting against white supremacy. That is Black culture. Once again, he more than likely did not grow up in a Black community. He don't know nothing about the games that we played as children growing up in the hood. And the crazy thing is, I've talked to brothers from hood to hood, all over the places. I'm a hood rat. I've ran through projects in Chi-Town, through St. Louis, through the East Coast, Virginia, Carolinas, you know what I'm saying? And the hood was always the hood back then. So this brother might not know about how the culture it was in the Black community at one time. We did have a culture that had nothing to do with fighting against white supremacy, with nothing to do with white folks. The truth of the matter is that's not a way to live. You cannot live your life focused on somebody else your entire life. You can't do it like that, man. You gotta focus on you and your own happiness, the things that you want. And again, this brings me to what I was saying earlier. The conversation is different if you're talking about systemic white supremacy or you talk about cultural and social white supremacy or cultural and social racism. If you're talking about that's a different topic. You can't do nothing about people not liking you. And it is not our job to even worry about that. Let them Hicks not like us. Let them Mexicans or whoever not like us. Who cares? Your job is to live your life to the best ability that you can. And the problem with that is that the longer we have gone underneath this system, which is your master, the more oppressive the system has become. Because the truth of the matter is, the only way something can be your master is if you recognize it as your master. If you don't see it as your master, it cannot hold you as a subject. Look, I got a real story from street life, right? This is a real story. Real events, 100% true. Some old cats that I got tied with, right? They were like jack boys, you know, real, I mean, they was bold with it too, bro. They rob everybody on the set, bro. You know, and they used to go out there and rob dudes, but never mess with me. They come out there getting robbed dudes and never mess with me. You know what I'm saying? And everybody out there is getting robbed looking at me like, Kush, why they don't fuck with you? And I'm like, I don't know, but I did talk to the dudes. Don't get me wrong. At this time, I wasn't jam tight with them like I had become later. Later on, I would become like real close to these dudes. You know what I'm saying? But at this time, we knew each other. I had a relationship with them, you know what I'm saying? A casual relationship with them, so forth, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I didn't run with them at this time. I didn't hang with them. But they would come out there and rob everybody and leave me alone. So later on, now years later, we all tight. We sitting around laughing about the shit, you know what I'm saying? And one of my rounds said, well, damn, Kush used to be out there. Why y'all never robbed Kush? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah. Why y'all never came at me like that? They said, well, we understood that with you, we had to either just shoot you and get rid of you or leave you alone. Because you wasn't going to let us just rob you and walk back in your face 5 minutes later like nothing happened. I'm like, sure in the fuck wasn't. So the moral of the story is that when a force, a powerful force, whether it's a system, whether it's dudes on the streets, it don't matter. When you're dealing with a force that recognize you are not going to be subjected to its tyranny, it has to either leave you be or get rid of you. That's it. That's it. And I think a lot of y'all subconsciously know that, and you are afraid to force the system to want to get rid of you, so you fall in line and you accept your role as a subservient to your master, which is the system, but which is also white supremacy. So when you bow to the system, you are actually bowing to white supremacy. When you go through that university, I ain't talking about not going to school because you know to get ahead. Man, by all means, go get your education. Try to convert that to some kind of job to make you some money, by all means. But do not do that thinking that that gives you status. Do not do that thinking that that gives you an upper hand over other blacks, because you are still underneath that system. And this is the problem we have with the so-called educated Negroes, the bougie Negroes, the divine nine Negroes. This is the problem we have with them. They are comfortable with accepting the fact that the system is their master, but the system is also white supremacy. So white supremacy is their master and they are satisfied with that. But this is why the way they deal with us is so corrupted. This is why the way they deal with us is so it's so counterproductive, non-beneficial. Because what are they going to do to get us from under the system when they themselves have found a spot underneath their master, because they're not trying to outshine the master. They themselves have found the spot underneath their master. What they want now is to put you underneath them. That's all they can do, and that's all they want to do. But when a force recognizes that you will not be subjected to its power, to its authority, to its tyranny, it can only get rid of you or leave you alone. And y'all are afraid to force these devils to make that decision. Y'all scared. This is the problem. I want them to get to that point where they have to make that decision. Let them make that decision, bro. Let the whole world see them attack us, man. Stop being scared. For those of us that survive, we will come out on the other end better. And for those of us that die, I hope the ones that survive honor our sacrifice and maintain and do right going forward. Make these devils have to make that decision to either leave us alone, like Moses said in your Bible when he went to Pharaoh, said, let my people go. Force these people to let us go, to leave us alone. Stop being scared. You are afraid because you recognize the system as your master, which is white supremacy. And now your whole life is now established around dealing with this stuff every damn day. That's not a life to live, bro. That is not a life to live. If that's where you are, then you should be trying to get from under it, because there's no amount of money that we're going to make within this system to change that. That's the thing I've been trying to get y'all to understand. You can't earn your way out this thing. You can't buy your way out of this thing. You can't get elected to office and get above this thing. There's no way to get above a system. The system is the system. The only thing you could do is rebel and reject and denounce the entire system. And y'all don't want to do that because you are afraid of how you're going to survive. You're afraid that they may attack you. You are scared. You are scared on so many levels that it's not even funny. So why even come online and talk this pro-black stuff, man, when you know deep down that you are really afraid to even do anything about what's going on? Why bother? Why bother? Why not just accept your role, man, sit down somewhere in the corner and be quiet? Why complain about something that you ain't really willing to do whatever you need to do to change it? Y'all like quoting Malcolm X by any means necessary, but y'all don't know what that means. Y'all have never been in a by any means necessary situation. See, y'all have never had to tool those things up to go deal with somebody. Y'all don't know what it's like to be in a joint, wrapping up them knives around your hand with tape and everything so it don't come off, to go deal with somebody. Y'all are not battle tested in any kind of way, because what you really wanted was to find you a slot, a comfortable slot underneath your master. You never wanted to outshine him. I don't want to outshine nobody, but I have no master. See, I don't recognize a master. There's only one God in my world, and that God is I call Allah. I only have one master, and that master is self. That's it. I, self, Lord and Master, traveling faster as I get closer to the point. Rock that funky joint. See, all these, that's hip hop, by the way. Black Light, that's hip hop. That's early rap music, when all the rappers were basically Muslims. Dip Dava, civilized the 85er, gotta let them know the devil's a conniver. Come on, man. I'm here to civilize the 85er. I'm doing my part. But you can't be afraid to break away from this system. That's your problem. You are scared. And now because you are scared, you live just as Fuller said. This is your life now. Just as Fuller said. This is your life. This is your entire life. You spend your life at all times either acting because of white supremacy, or reacting because of white supremacy. I don't do that, bro. Even though I live in the same system with all of y'all, believe it or not, I don't spend my time like that. You know what I'm saying? Me and my wife find a lot of time to have fun. I mean, we laugh a lot, we enjoy a lot, because we don't have masters. See, we see ourselves as more, as I guess you would say, we are more like people that are stranded. You know what I'm saying? We're stranded on an island that we can't quite get off of yet, you know, and we just got to deal with the environment that we are in. I think that's how we approach it. But we are not really subservient to anything out there. The only thing we understand is that we do have to deal with the environment that we're in, because we can't do nothing about that. We are on this island, we're stranded, and you know, it is whatever it is. Whatever is here is here. We can't do nothing about that. But the truth of the matter is, by this being a system and not an island, there is something we can do collectively. But we got to get out of the mindset of fear. We got to stop being afraid. We got to stop living where we react to everything they do. Because that's not what we're supposed to be doing, man. That's not how we're supposed to live. We can do better. If we only just wake up, come out of this mindset, man, we could do better. Stop. And it's sad that this brother don't know nothing about black culture. I got kind of scatterbrained, but I was about to mention how we grew up in the hood. I've been talking about that lately. How fun the ghetto was. All the games we played. I mean, the sports we played. You know, the things we did for fun. Going back, picking berries, making our own berry syrup. Sitting out there with the little homemade ice cream maker, man. Make ice cream for all the kids out here. And you a kid. You know, I'm talking about, we were all kids. And we'd take turn winding that sucker up, man, making ice cream, and everybody out there eating ice cream. You know, there's a lot we did. And we'd take the berries, the syrup that we made from the berries that we picked, and we'll pour it on top of the ice cream that we just made from scratch. And we'll sit out there and eat ice cream. This is ghetto life. This is culture. Culture is helping each other. Culture is our connection. Culture was the way we live. Culture is not responding and reacting constantly to white supremacy. That is not a culture, people. That is hell. That's what that is. That is hell. But we did have a culture. We once had a culture where all the dances that we created come from. That come from good times. You can't create dances in good times. Why do you think none of these kids no more can dance? The music is so violent and dreary. It's so hateful. Our music was uplifting, playful, joyous, because our culture was different. We had an actual culture back then. We wasn't a part of white society mentally. We may have been a part of the system, and within that system we had to deal with things, but we didn't deal with those things in our community. Once we enter our community, we got away from white society. And this is why they work so hard to see to it that we sabotage the black community. They're not the ones destroying it, we destroying it. With either these mofos out there, man, born from these single mothers and stuff like that, or you other dudes that just want to make $5 and run away and get away from the hood. I can tell black light has never lived in a predominantly black area. I can tell. If I'm wrong, it got to be a predominantly black suburb, which is the same thing as a mixed suburb. Suburbs are suburbs. I can tell he ain't from no hood. You can hear it in the way he talk, in his vernacular. He's not a hood dude. And so he thinks that our culture is just opposing white supremacy. No, it's not, man. You don't learn to play sports like we learn to play, man. If all you're doing is bogged down with trying to survive white supremacy. This is where they got us now, because this is where we slowly moved ourselves. Because over time, we always accept that that's the master, and we just want a place at the table. Generation after generation of this stuff, and now we are here. Now we're here. Now we're here. And now we are confused and don't know which way to go. And a few soldiers out there that won't out, we don't know what to do. I get brothers comment on the page, tell me, I get emails, man, you right, man. This stuff that we living in is madness. This stuff is not right. No, it's not right. But the thing is, how do we get out of it? We can't get out of it until you stop seeing it as your authority. You got to understand that you are a human being. Focus on your human rights as a human being. And better yet, you are indigenous to the Americas. Focus on that, man. Stop claiming Africa. I know y'all don't get it. Stop wanting to be Hebrew. And I don't care if you see yourself as Hebrew under like far as religion go. I don't care about that. Stop trying to tie yourself to another continent. Understand that you are where your great ancestors were. You are where your people are from. You are indigenous to the Americas and West Indies. And if you go further enough, yes, then when all the landmass was one, yes, you can claim Hebrew and all that. You say, if you want to claim it like that, say, no, this was our culture, but we were on this piece of the earth before it split. Say it like that. Stop trying to make it sound like you are some kind of immigrant over here, because you're stripping away your leverage. You're stripping away your rights. You're taking away your ability to claim the land right here in America. Stop making yourself an immigrant. You are not an immigrant. You are indigenous to the Americas and West Indies. You are home. You are home. And when you understand that and you start saying, hey, I want my freedom here. Let my people go. We are tired of dealing with y'all. We gave this experiment a chance. It failed. We want out. But see, they're afraid of that, because what eventually was going to happen is if we get ourselves properly established again as the indigenous population of the Americas, sooner or later we're going to be able to kick the Europeans out of America, and just like they did in Africa, South Africa. And this is what they fear. So they rewrote our history. They did a pencil genocide. There's a clip where a man is explaining, an older guy, right? He's like my grandfather type age, right? He's an older man. He's explaining how his brother, like his mom and dad, right, whatever, how his daddy people, right, daddy was listed as Indian, but his uncle and his aunts somehow got listed as black. Same family, biological through and through, same parents, same everything. But it's like two or three of the siblings were listed as Indians, and 2 or 3 of the siblings were listed as black. This is what they did us. But what they call us don't matter if you just understand who you are from within here. You know you ain't no slave. That's not your status. Even if you think that happened to your ancestors at some point, that was a blip in history. That is not what you are. You are not a slave. You are not a descendant of slave. That is not what you are. So how about just forgetting about it? Because it's not what you are. But what about our reparations? That's not the kind of reparations you want anyway. Say the white folks come tomorrow and say, we're going to give all descendants of African slaves $50,000, $100,000. Hell, they can say they're going to give all descendants of African slaves $1 million. I ain't getting in that line. I ain't getting it, bruh. I'm not going to disrespect my ancestors like that. I'm not a descendant of African slaves. I'm not getting it. I don't want the money. I want my proper status to be recognized as an indigenous black American, because then I am free from this system. That is my goal here at the Black Alpha. And that should be your goal also as a black man. That's what we should want to do, bro. So, no, man, you know, we got a lot of work, and our culture is not just reacting and responding to this stuff, man. We had a very rich culture in the hood at one time. And the black communities were almost all the same all across the board. So it had to be a culture that was more ingrained in us, you know what I'm saying, from commonalities. They broke it. But take New Orleans, how New Orleans still had that Indian type culture, right? It's the only place over here to have the culture. But if you go through the West Indies, you see that. If you go through Africa, you see that. You go through the islands, you see that. It's just that New Orleans is the only place here in North America that the blacks still had that culture. But you see blacks with that culture all around the world because we once had a culture. And the culture was global, people. It was global because we are the original people. All of us. We are original people. So we are all connected in some way, shape, or form. But we are not Africans. We are indigenous Americans. And we need to claim that first so that we can break off from whatever influence and effect and power and control that this system have on us. We can break it. But we're not going to be able to do that because y'all are afraid. Part of y'all are afraid. The other part of y'all have sold into the system. Y'all have gone through college and there's no way y'all are going to buck the educational system, the educational hierarchy. Y'all not going to do it. So y'all going to bow to it. Y'all going to continue to let these people define who you are and what you are. You're not going to question nothing they say about us. You're going to go along and get along because you don't want to, let me get over here, because you don't want to outshine your master. And y'all call that power? Y'all call that power. That's y'all definition of power. Look, look, look. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. That is not power, people. That is cooning. That is cowardice. That is slave. That is teaching you to be a slave and to turn around and try to find people that you can treat like slaves. Be a slave and treat others as slaves. That's what that is. But that is not our culture. That is the white man's culture from Europe. Say no more. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Till next time, I'm out of here. I'm Brother Kush, aka the Black Alpha. Salam.